So as we've mentioned in the past, Sony is a big company. We know that they have a lot of different divisions. We know that some of these divisions have been struggling financially, while others, like the PlayStation division, have been doing exceptionally well. Of course, Sony makes electronics, they're in the insurance business, and of course, they have Sony Entertainment, which has TV and film and music. And Sony Pictures is actually one of Sony's top moneymakers, so it's a big piece of the Sony pie. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, Sony announced that they were planning on increasing the revenue from Sony Pictures up by 36% just in the next 3 years. So they are expecting a pretty big boom whenever it comes to films and entertainment. But Sony Pictures this week has taken a pretty big hit. On Monday, Sony computers were met with screens of a red skull and the phrase "hacked by GOP." Now, for Americans, you may have heard of the GOP. It doesn't mean that they were hacked by Republicans, though. This group is called the Guardians of Peace. And there was a picture of the skull, and there was also a platter with the heads of a couple of Sony top executives, informing them that they were going to hell. Now, this showed up on multiple computers that could be turned on. They said other computers were disabled and couldn't be turned on. According to an insider, they said, quote, "Every PC in the company is useless, and all the content files have either been stolen, destroyed, or locked away." Now, the studio so far has set up a parallel system offline, but so far no solution has been found to get the main system back up and running. They said email, phone systems, computers, and Twitter accounts have all been hacked. Sony executives were reportedly using chalkboards and whiteboards in order to try to piece together a plan. According to some sources, they say the hackers have, they believe, actors' passports, employee passwords, contracts, emails, you name it. The hackers are claiming that they have all of Sony's confidential content, but so far haven't made any specific demands. They're also accessing Sony movies, and they're beginning to actually leak some of those movies online. Some of the movies that are being leaked, for instance, Fury, which stars Brad Pitt. It's a World War II movie, I believe, and it's still in theaters, and it's already made its way online and has been downloaded by over 1.2 million unique IPs. Other movies, such as Annie, don't come out to theaters for another 3 weeks, and it's already leaked online. Now, so far, law enforcement hasn't pinpointed exactly who's behind the attacks, but Sony is reportedly looking at North Korea as a possible link. Now, the reason North Korea comes into play is because North Korea actually threatened Sony back in June. They've got a movie coming out in December. I believe it comes out December the 25th. It's called The Interview, and it stars Seth Rogen and James Franco. And these two work for a tabloid company who get an interview with Kim Jong-un, who is North Korea's leader or president. And in the movie, the CIA wants to make them assassins so that they can try to kill Kim while they're doing the interview in North Korea. So in June, North Korea promised, quote, a merciless countermeasure if the film is released. They even went to President Obama asking him to try to stop it, claiming that it was an act of war and a threat to the dear leader's life. Now, of course, North Korea, they send out threats like on a weekly basis almost to the U.S., so everybody pretty much shrugged it off. So there have been no direct ties so far that we know of to North Korea, but that is definitely one area that they are looking at. China has also been mentioned as a possible point from the attack. Now, one would imagine that Sony Corporation is linked with other divisions, you know, if their emails are all linked or whatever else, but as of right now, the only division experiencing any issues has been Sony Pictures. So right now we have no reason to believe that any other division, such as the PlayStation division, is being affected right now. If you look at news for Sony, I mean, this is a pretty big attack that has been happening, and it's being reported on by pretty much every major news organization that you can think of. It was even the main headline today on the Drudge Report. So this is day 7, and Sony Pictures still paralyzed by the hacker group, the GOP. So how this will affect Sony in the long term is still unclear. But if you want to read more about it, as always, links down in the description box. That does it for me, the Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.